Salam, everybody. Welcome to yet again another edition of our African journey for the purposes of African identity and self awareness. Again, I want to thank everybody who is coming through, touched by this program, and especially today. I want to celebrate Forebearer Properties Limited for coming through and accepting to work together with us. This is a real estate company and it sells and develops homes for people so that Africans can have dignified lives here in Kenya. So, yesterday we had decided that we are going to move into a biblical journey of Africans and through the Masoretic text, or if you like, the Old Testament or the Hebraic text. And unfortunately, like I said, the Judeo Christian missions have always carried along with them the wrong impression and identity about Africans as a caste race. And I remember in some episode way back, I also added that Islam also hold the same stereotype. Now, before we go into this, I would like us to understand the history of Africans, and kindly allow me to take you through a journey of who Africans were even before the coming of Europeans back to motherland here in Africa. Like I said again, our educational system has been biased towards Africans themselves because it is an educational system and curriculum and the content that was received from our colonialist, and it has always taught us that our history dates back 1000 BC. This is something that I really did not agree with, especially if you take into account that all the anthropological studies as of now shows that every human race came from Africa. And in this case, I would like to be very specific, from Puntland, which is the Horn of Africa. And it is suffice to say that when Europeans, Asians, and so on and so forth come to Africa, they have adopted a name, Safari, which is a Swahili name to mean travel or journey. But this safari should be understood as going back to where you belong, or going back to your roots. So this is a new concept and philosophy of the word safari that I want to share with all of you. So whenever you're coming to Africa for a safari, please note that you are coming back to your mother's land. Now, Africans have been praised by a section of history through archaeology to be the only human race that ever moved from Stone Age to Iron Age, and with a pocket of some regions in Africa where people went through in a very short period through Bronze and Copper Age. Some of the facts that can attest to this are most of the African art and artifacts that were stolen by Europeans, and today they remain to be in the exhibition windows of museums like the London Museum, museums in France, some museums in Berlin, and so on and so forth, in Netherlands and in Portugal. And this was one of the ways, like I had mentioned in an episode before, of trying to erase the history of Africans. But let us look at the facts about Africans. Um, it has been said the people who accommodated the Israelites were Africans called Canaanites. Well, this is something that will be said, it is controversial, but by and by, along the journey, you will come to understand why Canaanites were Africans, and in this case, were Africans from Puntland. And Puntland, like I said before, is East Africa, or if you like, the Horn of Africa. Uh, they, the Canaanites are Cushite people, similar to the Ethiopians and the Somalis. And when they left Africa, they conquered Asian towns, the biblical towns like Tyre and Sidon, and among other kingdoms anyway. And they are well described by the prophets as mighty men, strong with dark skin, and they were beautiful, bold, and feared. So this is the description of an African in the Bible, which some of the bishops and pastors overlook, or if they are true revelation, this one surpasses them. Now, talk about Mediterranean. This was our play zone, our playground. Talk about Middle East. These are areas and regions that we conquered a long time ago. Other places that we conquered were Cyprus, Iberia, Sicily in Italy, Malta, places like Syria, Anatolia, Lebanon, the coast of Syria and the Great Syria, the coast of North Israel, and Sardinia, way back in the 12th century BC, all the way to the 2nd century AD. I mean, these are things that we are not taught about Africans through our religious education and through our educational system that is biased against Africans. Now, there is one, and I'm going to read. There is one scholar by the name Ibn Abdul el Hakim, who lived in 1858. And in his book, The History of Conquest of Spain, which was translated by John Harris Jones, he says that Africans colonized southwestern Mediterranean Sea and other areas like Malta, Sicily, Sardinia, Corsica, Barbaric Island, and Spain. I mean, in his book, page 109, he is among the early people who studied the Timbuktu, the university, which was, and it has never been said so, the center of scholarship in the world during its time. But what is Timbuktu today? There is a lot of political interest and economic interest and historical biasness of making it desolate and wiping it out of the history of the world. And this is my call to all Africans. This is where scholarship, and especially Arabs, develop their scholarship prowess. And this is where most of our history has been preserved. And if not in the Timbuktu, because of the years of conflicts and so on and so forth, those who studied there from the Arabia still hold our history, whether written in Arabic or in whatever language. Timbuktu remains our foundation for scholarship and historical fact about African history. Now, another thing I would like us to note, though the writer uses the name colonized, Africans never colonized, and I beg to be forgiven if I'm wrong. Africans never forced people to be Africans. They never erased any historical fact about the people whom they settled in their lands. Africans knew that for you to settle in a new land, there must be a duel. And whoever wins the duel remains in the place where the blood of their warriors was shed. Even if it is not forever, because Africans have always been on the move. It is for the time period when we will feel that we have satisfied the spirits of our ancestors, the spirits of the living dead, and the spirits of the unborn. This is how long Africans lived in a new land. Anyway, as we proceed, we are going to look also at another historian, a French historian who was touted as the father of Protestant biblical exegesis. And in his book, the Geographia Sacra su Falegat Canaan, he talks about the Nubian people being the Canaanites, and he talks about black power as he reveals this to the Europeans through his writings, and he talks about black power even in the Roman Empire. He talks about black power during the Alexandrian conquest, and he goes along and mentions the reign of Diocletian, which was a recent history, and he also mentions the reign of Justinian, who was a king in the Byzantine Empire around 580 AD. And when they came to the Maghreb, they came because they had encountered Africans back in Europe and the prowess and the wit of Africans. Now, they came, the two empires, the Alexandrian and the Roman Empire, which is called Byzantine because it accommodated Christianity, decided to come and visit Africa because Africa is also adversely mentioned in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. It has been mentioned also in the Quran. And so there was a mystical phenomenon about Africa. And this is where we find that all these emperors trying to come and understand the mystery about Africans right at the heart of their motherland, not knowing that they were also visiting where they came from. Now, these French philosopher and father of exegesis also talks about how these empires claimed to have conquered Africa right from the Chelif River to the Gulf of Sidra. And when the Byzantine Empire was coming to Africa, it was coming to annex this area. And when Justinian is called the Great in Europe, when he came, he made the Maghreb and Alexandria an exarch of the Byzantine Empire, meaning it was under their control, and they were to influence that area for that period of time. Now, not even reaching where the source of African knowledge lied in Timbuktu, in a region called Sogi. Sogi is in Mali today. Uh, they really did not understand anything. They never reached Africa. They never reached the heart of Africa. They never knew the mind of Africans. And it is so unfortunate that this led to 800 years of African subjugation by Europeans. And that's why in Africa, it's only in the Maghreb that there was a conquest by the Muslims. But in other areas of sub-Saharan Africa, there was no conquest. There was a peaceful coexistence between Arabs and Africans. So I'm all out. Thank you for your time. That is all we have for this episode, and we continue to appreciate your support as you continue to like and subscribe. May you also spread the word and share our videos across board for people to be enlightened. Thank you so much, and have a good one. Remember, uphold your Africanness and be truly Africa. Thank you.